Hello, Internet. Aaron and Dave here from the Cool Story Show. We're starting something a little different today. We're gonna talk about Doctor Who every week. It's the start of a new season. We've got a new Doctor, and me and Dave are massive Doctor Who fans. So we want to discuss it, and you can hear our thoughts. This is a full spoiler, so we're going to talk about everything that happened in the first episode. If you haven't seen the show, go watch it right now, because you're missing out if you haven't seen it, and then come back and listen to this right away.
But be warned, there is spoilers.
Lots of spoilers, so stop listening if you haven't seen it, and be back soon. Okay, Dave, it's a brand new season, it's a brand new Doctor, and Stephen Moffat said this is going to be different. It's going to be dark. It's going to be a little grittier. What did you think? What are your opening thoughts?
I love the episode, but when we first started watching it, it was kind of hard to get into because with each Doctor that you have, you kind of fall in love with them in your different ways. But when originally you start off with a new Doctor, it's really hard to warm up to them because, like when Eccleston went into Tennant and then Tennant went into Smith, you're just so attached to the previous Doctor that it's hard. And
I loved Smith from the moment I saw him.
Me too. I love Smith. And like, if I were to ask you right now, who's your favorite Doctor?
Matt Smith.
You off the bat, like no question.
No question, Matt Smith.
See, my problem is that between Tennant Eccleston and now Capaldi, like it's hard because they're all kind of portraying the same thing, but they each bring their own role to the character.
Right.
And I think that Capaldi is going to bring a very mature,
very different
take on the Doctor.
And something that I think is we had the last three all being young actors portraying the last three Doctors. I think all probably in their 20s, like pretty young. And Capaldi is, I think,
Matt Smith was the youngest Doctor. I don't know if Capaldi's the oldest Doctor, though.
He's the oldest since they rebooted the series.
Yeah.
He's for sure the oldest.
Yeah.
And something that I think about Capaldi is he's not whimsical. Like Matt Smith and Eccleston and Tennant were very whimsical. They were kind of weird and funny and charming, and Capaldi's definitely not that. I wouldn't call him charming at all. I wouldn't call him whimsical. He's definitely weird. He's very strange, but he's also very gruff, and he's very he cuts to the point, and he's sarcastic. I found actually he was pretty sarcastic too. I don't know if that was just me. He kind of tells people to shut up, and he makes fun of Clara a lot, which a lot of the Doctors haven't done very much.
Yeah, Matt Smith didn't do that.
He calls her a control freak a bunch, and it's funny. Like, they play off each other really well, I thought. But a big thing I take from Capaldi is that he's all these new things, and he's unsure of himself. I wouldn't yet call him darker. I didn't see him darker. Maybe that was just me, but he's for sure. I find that he's not confident like the last three Doctors. They never missed a step, and they always knew what they were doing, and they had a plan. And I find Capaldi's going to be a little bit more, not that he's going to make it up as he goes, but maybe he's lost, he doesn't know what the Doctor is anymore.
Well, do you think that Capaldi talks about, to the android, the broom reference, where he says that, you replace the handle and all the other parts of the broom, is it still the same broom anymore? Because you replaced it so much, it's not the same. Do you think that now that we have a new set of regenerations, that maybe it's kind of the same thing where the Doctor doesn't really know what he is anymore?
Right. And maybe that is. And when he was talking to the android in that scene, and he was kind of explaining that, I don't think he meant it for himself. And he holds up this kind of platter to show the android his face, and he's like, look at your face, I bet you don't even remember where you got it from. And at the same time, in the same scene, the android kind of sees his reflection, and Capaldi sees his own reflection. And I think in that kind of moment, he realized that he just kind of almost described maybe the crisis that the Doctor is going through currently, which I found very interesting. I like the fact that the Doctor might not be sure of himself and might not know what he's doing. And, I like Capaldi. He was funny. And he was sarcastic, and I don't know if I'd call him dark, but I mean, there was that scene with the android where, the camera goes back to his companions, and he's on the edge of that door with the android, and it goes, it shows the hat falling, and the android's impaled on top of that building. And did the Doctor push him? Did he convince him to finally end it and walk off, or did the android jump? Or because if that opens up a lot of implications if the Doctor pushed him or even if he convinced him to jump off. That's something that we haven't seen the Doctor do yet.
So what does it mean though if the Doctor pushed him?
I don't know. That's a big thing. I don't think I've seen any of the Doctors. Really, that's like the last resort. Is the Doctor killing an enemy is the last thing they do, and he always tries to save them as much as he can before ever having to do that.
Yeah, well, you've seen kind of some darkness. Like there was a lot of it was with Tennant, and I think we saw a bit of it with Smith. Where the two times I can think of it with Tennant was the that family where he locked them all in time in different ways because they wanted to be immortal. And
the vengeance of the wrath of the Time Lord. That was actually the family of blood. They were those aliens that chased Tennant, and it was who was the companion? I'm having a lapse.
Yeah, me too. I'm sorry. Don't hate us for forgetting that.
Oh my God,
Martha Jones.
Martha Jones.
Yeah.
I can't believe we forgot that.
I'm sorry, Martha.
I love you, Martha. Yeah, and that family of blood chased him across the universe, and he took his revenge upon them, which was dark. But getting back to Capaldi, I don't know. I'm hoping we'll see maybe some more darkness from him, and we'll see.
But if his darkness is coming out,
well, is
that necessarily going to be a bad thing, where he's essentially becoming less of the Doctor and more of something else?
I think this Doctor is going to cut to the chase a little bit more, and he's going to be a little bit more exacting. He's not going to be so. The one actually, just to wrap up a little bit here, one thing I always remember is from Matt Smith. There was an episode where they were in an old west town with an android who was hunting down aliens that were hiding there. And at one point, after the android kills one of the townsfolk, basically, if the alien leaves the town, the android is basically a bounty hunter is going to kill him. He grabs the Doctor, like kind of the refugee alien, and throws him over the edge of the line. And he says, he says, "It's over. I'm going to finish this." And Amy says, what is she says, consider what you're doing, or consider the consequences of what you're doing. And he says, my consideration is kill thousands, because the Doctor always tries to do the right thing. And we've seen it time and time again that he does kind of bring death and destruction where he goes. He saves people, but at the same time, he creates a lot of problems, no matter where the Doctor goes. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Capaldi. So we've talked about the Doctor, a little bit about the Tony episode, and there's no Doctor Who unless you have a companion to go with him. So what did you think about Miss Oswald this first episode, Dave?
Like always, she just kind of kills it. Like I thought she was great, the last season, and she's incredible this season. I think she did struggle the whole episode with trying to figure out like what the Doctor meant to her and kind of, I guess, how she felt, because I think that they did kind of flirt with each other, even though it would never go farther than just flirting. But I think that she definitely cared for the Doctor in different ways than he cared for her. And you can kind of see this at the very end when she says, like, I don't know who you are anymore, and opts to pretty much leave him. But then we get that miraculous phone call and cameo by Matt Smith, which seriously
blew me away. And I know there's some people out there in the internet world who didn't like that. They thought it wasn't cool that Moffat used an old Doctor to usher in the new Doctor, in essence. Because for me, I always thought, I know when you start with Eccleston, he is the Doctor already, and he just is kind of who he is, and he's doing what he's doing, and you never question it. Especially if you're new to Doctor Who and didn't watch anything older than Eccleston when they rebooted the series. But I know when we kind of fell in love with Eccleston, he regenerates into Tennant. There's that little bit of a lull where you're unsure of Tennant and what he's going to do and what he's going to be. But when he first jumped out of the TARDIS in his pajamas, and he was kind of like a swashbuckling Indiana Jones type, which was so different from Eccleston, in that moment I just thought to myself, like, this is the Doctor. This is who we've been waiting for. And then again, you fall in love with Tennant, and he regenerates, and you're like, who's this new guy, Matt Smith? And by the end of that first episode, when he walks through that hologram, straightens his bow tie, he is the Doctor in that moment, and there's no questioning beyond that point. I didn't feel like, Capaldi, they necessarily gave Capaldi that that chance per se, that one defining moment in this episode or in this first episode. And I've read a lot of stuff on the internet. Some people really just didn't like that. But I think the idea is that this Doctor is supposed to be unsure, and they're trying to show a different side of the Doctor besides somebody that's just confident.
But maybe they needed to do that because maybe it is hard for a lot of people to accept that because we've had a lot of younger Doctors. We're going with an older one. Maybe they kind of needed that bridge to kind of close the gap, because Capaldi in his own way is incredible, but he definitely didn't capture me off the bat like Matt Smith and David Tennant did. And I really felt like introducing that and having kind of Clara be unsure, and then, kind of at the end when he's like, you don't see me, why can't you just see me? Really made me fall in love with Capaldi and realize that he is the Doctor.
For me, that was the moment where I got on, I guess the best way to say it is I got on Capaldi's side at that moment. Yeah. I still don't know if it was that defining, like, he's the Doctor, but it made me see Capaldi as a likable character. Because up to that point, he was likable, but I didn't know if I was quite on his side. I still kind of felt bad for Clara. She lost, like, the Matt Smith Doctor. But after the phone call and Capaldi says, you're looking right at me and you can't see me. It's like, that wasn't someone else on the phone. That was me you were just talking to. You're looking right at me and you can't see me. Like, can you just see me? That really made me feel for Capaldi. And we've really... And I like, maybe that's the thing with Stephen Moffat. Like, we've really never seen the Doctor's personality bleed over. It's always just been like, it's Tennant and he switches to Smith and then he switches to Capaldi. But now they're... I'm at a loss for words, Dave.
It seems to me that the current Doctor is in a state of war with trying to figure out which Doctor he is, because the whole episode you can kind of see him going back and forth between different Doctors and not really knowing what he is, or trying to figure out his personality. At the end when she goes to give him a hug, I don't think I'm the hugging type now. I think he's trying to struggle within himself to figure out like who he is and what he is.
We completely got off the topic of the Impossible Girl. We talked about it for about 2 seconds. I thought, just to get back there, because we just keep seeming to fangirl over the Doctor a little bit here. I thought Jenna Coleman really... she was... I wouldn't call her my favorite companion that I've ever seen. Long live Amy Pond, best companion there ever was. Coleman really, like... She started the episode out very, in my mind, a little bit slow. She was kind of playing a little bit of a second fiddle to Capaldi, and I think we were all more paying attention to Capaldi than we are to Jenna Coleman. As it is, the new Doctor we're all interested in. But I think by about the midway of the episode, she really came into her own, and really brought the it made me feel for the companion, like kind of what she's going through, dealing with this. By comparison to the end of Matt Smith and the start of Capaldi, Capaldi's totally crazy compared to the end of Matt Smith, and it's got to be hard on her as Clara Oswald. But she really brought, like, I think her and Capaldi play off great together. And there was that kind of running little joke how he keeps calling her a control freak, and she gets mad and screams that I'm not a control freak, and he says, "Okay, ma'am, yes, ma'am," which I thought was great. I thought she did a good job. I wasn't the biggest fan of her the season before. She was for sure the most interesting companion to ever show up on the show. I think the Impossible Girl who existed in all times, I thought was a crazy idea, and the idea that she's kind of supposed to be the perfect companion for the Doctor because she kind of doesn't have a place in the universe, and she just fits with the Doctor properly. And I think that she's. I don't know if she's the youngest companion, but I know she's fairly young, and Capaldi's now for sure the oldest Doctor since the reboot. And I thought they played off really well. By the end of the episode, after that phone call, even a little bit before that phone call, when they're kind of arguing with each other and like taking quips at each other, I thought that worked really well. It was interesting to watch, kind of the companion and the Doctor like kind of arguing a little bit more and not being, lovey-dovey, and having the companion have big googly eyes for the Doctor. The whole episode was kind of nice to see. Do
you feel like they repair their rift, or do you think that this rift will travel on throughout this whole series? Because there's definitely a rift still between them.
There is a rift, and I don't know if it's going to become a big thing, because I think it's important. The Doctor has to have the companion to keep himself grounded, because he's going to forget. He will forget kind of his humanity, and you saw it happen to Matt Smith when he kind of stopped hanging around Amy and Rory when they kind of went off to have their life. And I think, like I said, Claire doesn't really have a spot in the universe. She kind of belongs with the Doctor. So,
well, let's talk about companions leaving.
Okay.
And see where this might tie in. Rose Tyler,
Bad Wolf,
got parallel universe, couldn't go back, had to be separated from the Doctor. There was Martha Jones.
Let's just say this. They're all important, but Bad Wolf, maybe probably the most important companion, I think.
Yeah.
She fused with the TARDIS Matrix. Maybe she basically completely saved the Doctor's life and saved the world. All the companions have done their part. Martha Jones, the girl who walked the earth.
She had to leave because she realized she loved the Doctor and the Doctor didn't love her.
Right.
Donna Noble.
We all know what happened to her.
Yeah.
The most important girl in the world.
The
big thing never been a big fan of Donna. Sorry, Donna.
You love her, you hate her. Amy Pond. And Rory.
Amy Pond, my favorite companion. To this date, I like Clara, but she doesn't do anything against Amy Pond. And they weren't killed, but they were sent back in time.
To where he couldn't get to them without...
But they were together, and they were happy. So they didn't die, but as far as the Doctor was concerned, they did. He lost his... I think at that point... I always saw Amy Pond as almost like family to the Doctor. Whereas Donna Jones was like his friend...
Martha Jones?
What did I just say?
Donna Jones.
I don't know why I said Donna Jones.
A new companion.
Martha Jones was his kind of rebound after Rose, which is the one he was in love with. And then I can't remember her name.
So do you think Jenna becomes the first companion to kind of just break up and leave him? Because she can't deal with him being a different Doctor?
What do we have? What do we have for companions? We have Rose Tyler as Bad Wolf. She was his love. They were in love. And that was the first kind of, she almost kind of got to the point of falling in love with Eccleston. And then, who wouldn't fall in love with Tennant? Yeah. So she falls in love with Tennant. Then she gets lost into the parallel universe. Then we go to, obviously I'm going to mess the name up, Dave.
Martha Jones,
who was, I always thought of like almost a rebound kind of.
Yeah.
To,
Donna Noble.
And to Rose, and then we go to Donna Noble, and it was nice. I guess I will give Donna Noble this. There was no underlying tension. It wasn't a sexual thing. It wasn't. They weren't flirty. They were friends, and it was kind of nice to see the Doctor just have a friend to travel with.
But then you got a better friend in Amy, even though there was.
I think Amy transcended friendship. I think Amy and Rory, and along with my
family,
my very favorite character out of Doctor Who, probably ever, River Song, became family, and that is something at that point the Doctor had never had. Let's just keep it within the rebooted series here.
Yep.
He's never had a family. He never had that unit to kind of be safe with and be with, and that's what Amy gave him. Now, jumping back to Clara. I'm really not sure what Clara is yet. They were her and Matt Smith were very flirty. They were very, they were getting close to kind of what Martha Jones. They're getting close to what Martha Jones.
People are going to hang you.
The internet will kill me, and the Doctor Who fans will hate me. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to go back in time and fix this. Don't worry. It's hard to see what Jen is going to be. I'm not quite sure, and especially now with Capaldi, there's definitely not going to be a boyfriendy girlfriend vibe. It's going to be something totally different.
Well, let's change the subject for, I guess, a couple of final thoughts. First final thought: what in general did you think of the episode as a whole?
I thought the tone was a little bit darker. I wouldn't call it dark like they claimed it was going to be really dark and gritty, and I didn't see it as dark. It was still a little bit fun. It was funny. It was the first scene, a dinosaur walking through London, Victorian London. Great first Doctor Who scene, classic. I liked it. It was good. It had me interested. It had me thinking. I like Capaldi. I'm not sure he's going to be my favorite Doctor, but I really do like Capaldi. I thought Jenna Coleman as Clara did great. As always, his little gang of companions were as funny as they always are. Strax killed it, I thought.
Always does.
The enemy was a little bit one note, and I think they kind of used him just to kind of pinpoint that whole, you don't know who you are anymore. He wasn't super interesting. But yeah, I liked it. What did you think, Dave? Did you like it? Did you hate it?
I liked it. I seriously did. I thought the dinosaur was cool. I mean, time-traveling dinosaur, ridiculously awesome. Kind of sad when it got,
Oh, so sad. And that's that's something we all love about Who. It's ridiculous, and then instantly they somehow make you care for how ridiculous it is.
Yeah,
It's great.
And now we know the doctor can speak dinosaur to add
Dinosaur,
to his,
horse, and baby.
Yeah.
3 best languages you can speak.
But yeah, I did like it overall. And then to kind of touch on my last final point is, what would you like to see kind of in the future going forth from what we have now?
I want to know what the ending of the episode meant. What is heaven? Why did the android
who's Missy?
Who's Missy? How did the android end up in this? I'm going to air quote this, heaven. You can't see that, but I just did it with my fingers. What does that mean? I have a ton of theories. I don't want to get into every single one of them right now. We'll touch upon this, I think, more in our next episode a little bit. Dave, any final thoughts before we finish up?
Final thought. I want to go back to Missy. Like, that whole kind of ending that they did there.
It confused me in a good way.
It did confuse me in a good way, because there's been some theories I've read. I encourage you to kind of go out and read them. I'm going to throw this off the top of my head. My theory really quick. I think the Missy could possibly be the TARDIS consciousness. Maybe it's come back alive and it's kind of collecting things like the android. Mm-hmm. And who knows where that's going to go. I don't know.
Yeah, and the thing about Doctor Who, it can go anywhere, in
Exactly.
any time, any place, in space, or the universe.
Well, this has been Dave and Aaron with the Cool Story Show, just talking to you about Doctor Who.
We'll be back hopefully every week, and we're going to talk about every new episode. We're just going to have a little conversation with each other, and we want you to join in and listen. Please go to the Cool Story Show page, like, share, and subscribe.
Check out our main podcast.
They're fantastic. We'll be coming out with one
Pretty soon here.
on Tuesday. Yep. So thank you everybody for listening, and we will be back at you with the new Who episode in about a week.
Thanks.
Thanks everybody.
Take care.